Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. This is now series 3. My name is Kirsty Davies-Chinnock, and today I'm joined by Amy Walters, who is an engineering and manufacturing recruitment manager in the automotive sector for Apex Recruitment Services. And Apex Recruitment are a specialist recruitment agency specialising in the automotive, engineering and manufacturing sectors. They're one of the leading recruitment agencies in the country, and they have over 45 years experience, and they pride themselves on exceptional service. Thank you, Amy. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
We've spoken to someone in recruitment before, and I find it really refreshing that the women I speak to in sort of the recruitment industries are sort of really keen on building relationships rather than sort of, a mass generalisation, ring up and throw a CV at you. I know you've been in recruitment for sort of like nearly 10 years. What made you focus on the industrial side more?
So I think, like most people in the industry, I kind of fell into it. I was in a sales job, working away from home a lot. So I sort of needed something a bit more stable, closer to home, and just kind of fell into recruitment. I started off in utilities. It was, in all honesty, the first role that I got. That kind of then sort of got my interest in recruitment. But most sort of recruitment agencies out there are very high street, very industrial. It's very fast paced, low margins. And you'll find that most people typically start their recruitment career down that route. And sort of throughout my career, my role has become a bit more specialised. I've focused on more technical skill sets. And that's just sort of come with my experience, really, because I think if you was to come straight into a really technical recruitment role without the understanding of it, it could be quite tough. And then I landed at Apex nearly 4 years ago now, which obviously we now specialise within automotive. I do a lot within the engineering world. And I think I just really enjoy seeing how things work and how they go together. Some of my favourite parts of these roles are getting to go to clients and seeing the manufacturing world, the engineering world, and how everything's made and how much goes into it. Like, I have been driving since I was 17. It's only in the last 4 years I've really appreciated how much goes into just actually being able to drive the car.
You've got to love going to play in somebody else's factory. It's so much fun.
So much fun.
And I think you mentioned in there about driving since you were 17, but really only getting the understanding of what goes into the car. I think we're all like that. We don't know what we don't know, do we? Yeah. So being in the metal sector, the world would come to a stop if the metal sector just stopped. Yeah. But you're sort of almost invisible in the background. And you said you've sort of been at Apex for nearly 4 years now. And I know there you've sort of moved into more of a manager's role. So it's you've got a team, and you're sort of doing more people than transactional, although I'm sure you still do transactional. How did you move into that sort of people side?
Yes, I think it's really important to say that whilst an element of what we do is transactional, we actually try to avoid just the transactional side of things. I think you mentioned at the start, we very much focus on our service. We want to be a partner. I'm not just going to fill your job and move on. So we very much sort of work on the service that we provide, the partnerships that we build, which obviously, again, throughout my career has kind of progressed on that service side. I'll be honest, I've been one of those people that's always wanted to get into people management. It's something I've always wanted to do. And from managing temporary workers, it kind of ignited that a little bit more. And it just so happened I got made redundant and a role came up at Apex, which kind of gave me that step into that role. but I still very much still do the recruitment. I still do the relationship management, the servicing of our clients. I've just added an additional responsibility onto that now, which is my team and developing my team and making sure that they have what they need and they can do their jobs and that they're supported in what can be a really tough industry. So it's very much just adding to my responsibilities rather than a shift. So I'm very busy, but enjoy it.
It's great, isn't it, when you get the opportunity to say, I'd love to try that, and then get the opportunity to try it and realise you really enjoy it. And, you know, we tend to really only enjoy things that we're good at, you know. And so you've got these additional responsibilities to your role that, you know, you're clearly enjoying and you've got support with. But were there any unexpected challenges when you sort of stepped into that new role?
I think I underestimated people management. So I think because I was confident in my skills as a recruiter, I just assumed that meant that I could manage recruiters. And I had to learn very, very quickly that there are, you know, everybody is different. There are different personalities. And from day one at Apex, everyone in my team have been very, very different people. So it was definitely a learning curve and a challenge to understand actually how to get the best out of people, and that different people respond to different things and different people learn different ways, you know, because I think we naturally go into well, this is how I do it. This is how I learned it. This is what I did. And sometimes we just assume that that means that's how everyone else should do it. So that was probably my biggest challenge, but it's also probably the most rewarding part when you can really get how somebody works and you actually help take them from A to B. It's a really nice feeling. But that was definitely hands down the biggest challenge for me.
I love that. And it's integral to our own personal growth as well, isn't it? You know, it's not 1989 anymore. And, you know, do it this way or there's the door. And, you know, everybody learned it by Tuesday and it's Thursday and you still haven't got it. It is great to see how workplaces overall have embraced the fact that every member of the team is an individual with an individual way of learning. And it's, I think you can take as many courses, and don't get me wrong, training is brilliant. But it's almost like you've got to do it and get it wrong.
Absolutely.
To sort of learn from it, I think.
I think that's really key. The culture we have here is, you know, there is no mistake that somebody can make here that is too big of a mistake. Everything can be resolved. We can work with it. All we ask is that if you make a mistake, management, leadership including, is that you hold your hands up, we learn from it, we move forward. So, you know, I'm sure I've made mistakes during my time at Apex with learning how to manage the team. I have a very supportive network around me here who have that mindset. Okay, well, we've made a mistake, but what do we learn from it and how do we make sure it doesn't happen again? So I think that's really, really important.
Definitely. And mistakes are opportunities.
Yes.
You know, if we do something wrong, it's okay, let's go and ring the customer, tell them what we've done, tell them how we're going to put it right, and check they're okay with that and apologise. And, you know, you'll sort of go, oh, I don't want to make that phone call. And it's never as bad as you think it will be, because people always appreciate the honesty.
Yes.
Because everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
No. Although I'm very close.
Yes. We it's the sort of thing I would say. Nobody's perfect apart from me.
Yeah.
So obviously, people in every company are the companies, or one of the companies, no, probably their greatest asset. We need people to do the work, you know, to keep the wheels of industry turning.
Yes.
And it's been well publicised and reported on over the last God knows how many years, that there's quiet quitting, there's the great resignation, there's skill shortages, loads of vacancies. And we're recording this in February 2025. And in April, we've got the employers' NI increase, a fairly chunky increase in the minimum wage, although nowhere near as big as the 11% in 2024, which of course impacts on everybody, whatever they earn. So if you've got someone earning 30 grand a year, then, you know, minimum wage going up to 25 grand a year is going to impact the gap in between them and their skill set. So they need to go up a bit. So it's a tough increase for employers, particularly in industrial sectors, primarily because we're all being hit around the head for the last 3 years with massive increases in things like energy.
Yes.
So how do you see this sort of employers' NI increase from April impacting on the sector? Are you seeing it, or do you think there will be an impact?
I think there will initially be an impact. You know, at the moment, people are having to make sure that they've got the money needed for these changes. You know, that causes people to review their requirements, their staffing need, their budgets, all of that kind of stuff, which is natural, it's to be expected, and it's the right thing to do. However, I don't think it's quite as awful as the media is making us all think it is. So you read the papers, hear the news, see on social media, all these businesses are going bust because of national insurance. It's awful. It's going to cause this. It's going to cause that. You know, but that's not the narrative we're hearing from our clients. Yes, it is tough. People are still struggling. We've basically just been on this crazy roller coaster since 2020. So it is hard. But I speak to my clients daily and they're busy, you know, and, you know, whilst we can say what we all think and feel with regards to the government in at the time and the changes they're making, the idea is that this money is reinvested. Now, if that is reinvested, we will benefit from that in the longer term. You know, does that money be reinvested to focus on things like automation? You know, they're looking at potentially, you know, talking about putting money into housing. Well, that's a good thing, because that will, you know, some of my clients work within that construction world. We work with companies that do the heavy plant machinery and stuff like that. It will come back around. I don't think it is quite as bad as we're being made to believe. But on the flip side, as a small business ourselves, we do understand the impact it's having on people. But I don't think it will be a forever impact. We just have to learn and adjust accordingly. But it will make you think more and go, okay, well, we know now that my national insurance costs are going up, but I know I'm working on a project that's going to come off in 12, 18 months. So actually, I need to plan for that now to allow for the finances. So I think if people take the positive approach to it, we can have a positive outcome and just stop listening to the media.
Definitely. It's like we almost talk ourselves into the recession, the bad economic environment and situation. Yeah. And I don't think it's an accident. I think, without getting into conspiracy theories, the media people know what they're doing when they put those headlines out. They will have enough data to say, if we say this, the knock-on effect will be A, B, C or X,
Absolutely.
Y, Z. And it does have a knock-on effect. And you'll get individuals will go, oh, I'm not going to change my car this year just in case. Or, oh, well, I was going to book 2 holidays, but I'm only going to book 1. Or, oh, we were thinking of moving, but we're not going to now. Or we were going to go to Pizza Hut on Friday. Well, we're not going to now. Whatever it is within their disposable income. And then if everybody stops doing that one little thing, from buying a pizza to moving home, it impacts on the economy. And then everyone goes, oh, we've got a really sluggish economy. And it's like, well, that's because you told everybody that every company's going to go bust and they're going to be out of a job and they won't be able to afford to heat their homes
Exactly.
anyway.
It's just
And
a cognitive
I know
difficulty.
that's sort of like, a bit of a mass generalisation, but it does have an impact.
Yes, 100%.
And when we're talking about, particularly in the manufacturing and industrial sectors, retaining people and employing people with all these vacancies. I mean, I think it was last year, was it 60,000 vacancies? There's obviously a lot of talk about skills, retention, targeting different groups that you wouldn't perhaps normally target. You mentioned automation. A lot of the things we do would have 3 people on the line, and now it's one person pressing a button. And people are looking at, maybe we are going to put a twilight shift on to target people to come out and work for 4 hours a day once the kids have got home from school and their partner's home.
Yeah.
So there is sort of quite a lot of thinking outside the box going on. How do you see that sort of playing out with people trying to fill those vacancies from areas perhaps they wouldn't normally think to approach?
I think, there's always going to be an element of skill gap because the world moves on so quickly. So that's always going to be there. And it's always something we should be thinking about. So I think this is where things like forward planning comes into place. This is where your training and your upskilling comes into play. Looking at things like, thinking about apprenticeships and, actually we need to start bringing apprentices in now, knowing that they've still got to get through that process. They do those degree apprenticeships. Amazing. Like, let's do more of that and let's forward plan at where we're going to be. Let's focus on upskilling, but also transferable skills. Just because somebody hasn't worked in your exact industry, there is no reason that they can't learn it. Working with schools and colleges and all of that kind of stuff, I think we just have to be open and we have to be flexible. And I think that's where having good relationships, whether that is with your internal HR that does your recruitment, whether that is a recruitment agency that you've developed a partnership with, whoever it might be, somebody that understands that landscape, that understands the difference with the transferable skills that can work, the backgrounds we can search at, what's going on elsewhere. We just have to be open. I think going back to what we said earlier, everyone goes, but that's the way we've always done it.
I love that. Transferable skills, particularly if you've got a customer facing role in any industrial sector, the technical bits can be learnt.
Yes.
But the communication aspect, the how to develop that really strong relationship. I mean, one of the things the media also bemoans is, the death of the high street. There are so many retail companies being closed. People who've worked in retail deal with the public face to face. Picking up the phone is going to be, a lot easier for them than having someone screaming at them because they haven't got the right brand of shampoo or the date's not right for them on the chicken.
Yeah. So why are we not looking at these people more and going, actually, like you say, people skills, in my opinion, you can't teach that. I can't teach people skills. I can't teach attitude. If you have got those, we can teach you. You can go and learn. There is always somebody that can help you, but we just have to shift our mindsets away from the norm.
Definitely. Talking about mindsets, you said on a LinkedIn post that 2024 was your year for growth. And you put up a beautiful picture of your dog as well, your beagle. Please, can we see more dog pictures? Just
absolutely.
FYI. So if 2024 was your year for growth, what will 2025 be for you, do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, 2024 was a tough year, personally. I went through a lot professionally, personally. It was a challenge, we'll say. But I think that post you're talking about, I said my greatest achievement for last year was that I made it. So I think this year it's all about taking the strength I got from last year and now developing and learning and really sort of taking that step forward, because I learned from last year that I do know what I'm doing. I am good at my job and I can do that through all the adversity that is thrown at me. So let's keep building on it. So despite everything that's going on in the world and the scary stories that we're given by the media, this is my year to build now.
I like that, year to build.
Yeah.
And you sort of almost have to go through the rubbish to know what you can deal with, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And obviously it's horrible, but it's like, I know I can do it. And you almost, not that it gives you a foundation to stand on, but you can sort of really feel the strength when you're sort of standing there, you know, like, I did it. It's just about building now.
100%.
And finally, Amy, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So whenever someone asks me this, it always takes me back to when I was in my sales job. And it always makes me laugh forever, but it just worked. So I used to be in a sales job. It was quite difficult. And we were always on the road. So our manager would sort of work remotely, going out to all of us. And there was a day when he came on site with me and I was having a tough day. I didn't have any confidence in me that day. I just couldn't get anything over the line. And I got to the point where you sort of almost talk yourself out of it even more, don't you? And I'm sat there with my manager and he's saying what's going on, and no one's listening to me. No one wants to do it. No one wants to buy. I'm no good at my job. Blah, 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 blah. And so he stood up, he stood me up and he looked me directly in my face. He was literally here and he was like, Amy, people buy people. People like you. Shut up, do your job because they like you. And I was like, okay. And it just worked. And I, over the next couple of days, had an incredible sales week. And it was just that reminder that if you are yourself and you do it to the best of your ability, you will get it done. And I think at that point in time, it was exactly what I needed. And it still just comes to my head every now and again when I'm having a bad day. Amy, people like you, people trust you, people know you, get it done. And you're like, okay. And the only other thing, because I promised that I would mention it, we have a piece of advice in this office at Apex that is mentioned quite regularly, particularly by one of my directors. And that is that recruitment is a roller coaster. So, and it really is. There's lots of ups and lots and downs. But we do literally just have to ride through it. And once you've gone through the lows, we get to go high again. So,
and that, I think that's incredibly true. I like that analogy. I really, really do. I get what you're saying about you going into the lows and up to the highs. It could also be used the other way around. So when you're crawling up really slowly, that's the day where you're really slogging through one foot in front of the other. And it's like, it's like slogging through mud.
Yeah.
So, no, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. It's been a pleasure to chat to you. And more beagle pictures, please.
You can have all the beagle pictures.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirsty.
Oh, no, come back.